when I moved here, my mother-in-law was behind me for 1 month to get a bike. She was hell-bent that I get a bike. But, I like to walk and take the trains, but no, that was not an answer. I was forced to get a bike. So I did. What I realized is, since because I opened up and I just took it, the best way, and also you get fit by doing that. And you go, they live in Houghton, and we go to Utrecht city center. We get the nice countryside bike ride. It's beautiful. You have to integrate. If you are coming to Netherlands, get a bike.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning if you are tuning in from Netherlands. On behalf of World Trade Center, I extend a warm welcome to each one of you for joining us today in this episode. In fact, the third episode in our Discovery series. A series which is organized by the WTC's World Trade Centers, Bangalore, Chennai, and Kochi, together with the Bangalore Chamber of Industry and Commerce. This time, it's going to be Netherlands. My name is Vivek George, and I am representing the WTC team, and I am joined by my colleague April from WTC Kochi. So if you are following this series, you would have attended the first one, which was on UAE. The second one we had last month was on Japan. And today we are talking or going to share some life experiences and also listen to experts on how to do business in Netherlands. Today we are thrilled to have a distinguished panel of speakers who are going to bring in their expertise and perspectives on the topic. We also thank the partners WTC Twinte as well as WTC Netherlands Alliance for supporting us in this episode. Let me begin by welcoming our moderator, Karnvir Mundrey. So Karnvir should be by now popular among our audience. So Karnvir is the podcaster and a chief ideation officer at Atharva Marcom. He's based in Bangalore. Karnvir has been the moderator for the series. Karnvir is a pioneer in branded content and PR strategy. And I still remember, our series on SME branding that Karnvir has hosted in a similar fashion. So he's a PR expert. He's a content person and go-to person for WTC whenever we have these kind of series. So Karnvir, I welcome you once again to this session. I should also acknowledge that Karnvir has coined the term the Discovery Series, and that's the name that we have called this series. So next we have Freek Faber, who is the CEO of World Trade Center Twente from Netherlands. Freek comes with over 3 decades of experience bridging government and businesses. Freek is an active member of the World Trade Centers Association. So we are all bound by the World Trade Centers Association. And he's a key figure when it comes to WTC, a European Regional Advisory Council of the association as well. So Freek, it's a pleasure to have you at our forum. Welcome. We also have Guhan Ramachandran. He is a serial entrepreneur and a business consultant. Guhan brings along 15 years of global experience across FMCG, precious metals, and he's known for his expertise in cross-border brand development and trade strategy. Karnvir and I, we happened to see a video of Guhan, and that's where, Karnvir suggested Guhan to be on the panel, and I understand that they know each other earlier as well. So thanks, Guhan, for being on the panel. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
We also have Balaji Venkatraman, who is the area director for South India at Netherlands Foreign Investment Agency. It is called NFIA. So Balaji has helped numerous international companies establish, set their roots in Netherlands, and he also leverages his background in strategy, innovation, and market research. So Balaji is in fact joining us today from WTC Bangalore. So Balaji, thanks for coming over. I welcome you as well to this session. Finally, we are joined by Peter Boone, who's the founder of Kushikama Business Consult from Netherlands and international trade advisor at the Netherlands Alliance of World Trade Centers. He also has over 3 decades of experience in global energy, construction, and market entry. Peter specializes in helping businesses set up sustainable operations abroad. Peter, I welcome you as well to this session.
Thank you.
With that, I hand it over to Karnvir to continue the conversation. Over to you, Karnvir. Thank you.
Thank you, Vivek, and welcome everybody to this exciting conversation we've been doing. We have done already UAE, Dubai, and which is the same, and Japan, and this is the third in our edition. And I think we hopefully get better with every time. And Netherlands is a very exciting and interesting country. I would like to start with a show of hands. How many of you, and don't feel bad if you don't know the answer, but from the people who are listening, how many of you remember or know that Netherlands, Dutch, and Holland is actually the same thing? Uh, how many of you didn't know that, or weren't sure of that before this conversation? Anybody? Could you raise your hand? Uh, did you know? If you knew, then raise your hands. Okay, a couple of them knew, but I think there's still a lot of confusion. A lot of people still didn't know that in India or among the people that Dutch, Holland, and Netherlands is actually the same place. And Netherlands is actually a very interesting culture. One of the things that is extremely, having interacted with a lot of people from Netherlands, is that it's an extremely straight culture. So they do life very simply. Yes means yes and no means no, which is actually takes some time getting used to, especially coming from the East. And one of the examples I'll give you is that the word for gloves in Danish is simply handschoenen, which means shoes for hands. I mean, they didn't bother to invent a name for gloves. They just called it shoes for hands. So that's how simple and straightforward they are, and that is an example into even their culture. So we have a very interesting panel over here, and I would. It will be a very interesting conversation as we go through and understand Netherlands for the MSMEs, from the SMEs, and what are the offerings and what are the opportunities for India. So to start off with, I'll just go by how it's appearing on my screen, and we'll probably start with Peter. And Peter, give us your perspective, a little 30-second perspective on Netherlands and on what you do over there.
Okay, thank you. So from my perspective, I'm a business consultant. I support companies in doing country entry, both on the European side and on the African side, and I work across different markets. My perspective on doing business in the Netherlands is that it's not overly regulated, but it is regulated. You need to know your way around, and what I think is sometimes forgotten is that rules, regulations, legislation is mainly driven from the European Union down into the countries. So some of the rules and regulations are being interpreted in the Netherlands slightly different from what they might be in other EU countries. But I think that EU umbrella is really an important starting point to start investigating your opportunities in this country.
Great, and I'll move over to Guhan, and Guhan has an extremely interesting. There's hardly a sector which he hasn't touched. And the time I met him, he was selling ghee to the Dutch. So that was an interesting starting point of our conversation. And Guhan also, it just came up to me that one of the most famous artists of the Netherlands is Van Gogh. But interestingly, we all pronounce it wrong. Guhan, tell us how to pronounce Van Gogh correctly.
Van Gogh.
No, that's not the way. Maybe Peter or Freak would tell us better how to the right pronunciation for.
We are known for the G, so it is Van Gogh. So
Yeah.
but that's it's typically Dutch, but it's hard for us. So we're always pleased to see others trying to pronounce it correctly. But at least when you try it already, we appreciate it very much. So that's also in our culture.
Well, I've been trying it for many years along with my Dutch friends, but I always seem to get the outward exhalation wrong. So I'll do my best. I'll continue to try. But Guhan or Wuhan, because Van Gogh and Wuhan, I would change your pronunciation. Tell us a little bit about your experience in the Netherlands and all that you've been doing.
I currently run business consultancy and international trade, as well as moved around the countries from Sri Lanka, India, New Zealand, and Europe. I'm settled now here in Netherlands with my family because my wife is Dutch and the kids are well rooted here. For me, uh, Netherlands, out of all the European countries that I have experienced, is very systematic. And you state the obvious. There is no deviation from it. So they're pretty straightforward, which is not the Eastern type. It's typical Dutch. It's known for being straightforward and communicating the information as it is. There is no Eastern way of like Peter said in the past. It's a maybe. It's a no is a no. A yes is a yes. As long as we understand, I can give a good analogy, like the thinking process of India and Netherlands. We can take traffic as an example. In India, when we get stuck in the traffic, we are finding ways to maneuver ourselves to go into the front of the queue. But it does not happen in the Netherlands. We are in the queue and we have to go one behind the other so the system flows properly. That's a way of conditioning and thinking process. So if anybody is coming from the east, we already have a root cause problem. Understanding the traffic system as an analogy, we have to understand this is how it works. And the minute you get the base route right, then everything falls into place. Like Peter says, it's a regulated market. So it goes by the books and by the books. So if everybody approaches in a simple, by the books and follow the SOP in place, things will take place properly here to set up a foundation and build a business. And Netherlands is a perfect place for it.
Go by the books, but because we also, are very honest and absolutely straight over here. But some people do find the Netherlands, to be honest, bureaucratic and kind of similar to India in terms of the levels of bureaucracy, slightly more than the EU. So, Freak, tell us what your perspective is about Netherlands and why Netherlands is a good strategic destination for Indian MSMEs and startups.
Well, I think it might be a stepping stone into the to the European land. So it is also, but I leave it over to Balaji to say what the advantages is. We are located on the line. When you draw a line from Amsterdam to Berlin in Germany, we are the last stop in the Netherlands or the first stop coming from Germany. I can see Germany from my office, and Germany is an important country, important economy. But we are in the Netherlands more flexible. As language, we speak all English, and that's not the case in most of European countries. So the ease of doing business, setting up a business, because there are some challenges, but please come to the Netherlands. And when you're looking for a right spot in the Netherlands, we join the eastern part of the Netherlands, where we are more at ease than in the western part, and we are close to the German border, and that has the advantages. And we know also the German knowledges, and we speak the language. So that's important. What you have here, and I'm pleased you organized it, my dear friend Vivek. And that shows the strength of the international network of World Trade Centers, where I'm also proud to belong to as World Trade Center Twente, and also being part of the Worldwide Board.
Great. So there's already competition brewing up over here between East and West Netherlands. I can see that happening. But we'll go on to Balaji, and Balaji is joining from India. And if he's being truly Dutch, then he's just had a sandwich and joined us on the show. or on the webinar, because I think there's nothing more authentic than having a sandwich in the Netherlands. So Balaji, tell us your perspective about what you do over here in Bangalore. How do you encourage people to go to Netherlands, and why is it a good option for MSMEs and startups? Of course, after you have your mayonnaise.
Thanks. All I have is cookies here, but thanks to the WTC team for the hospitality. Freek already covered most of it, but yeah, I work for the Dutch government in India. I'm stationed at the consulate. I work for the Ministry of Economic Affairs, and we are a department within the government known as the Netherlands Foreign Investment Agency. We have been operational for about 47 years. And our purpose in life is to bring international companies into the Netherlands and thereby bring technologies and solutions that are relevant for the Dutch society and that can scale in Europe, thereafter. This is my 10th year, and we have seen that the best part of this job is you every other week is a new learning, because you at least speak to about 5 to 6 companies on an average. So that's the interesting part. On the reasons, other than what Freek mentioned, we are known as a gateway to Europe. Digitally, the undersea cable, the internet cable enters Europe through Netherlands, so the least latency is experienced there. On the other side, Rotterdam is the largest port in Europe. So most of the material that has to go into Europe that enters Netherlands through Rotterdam, and Schiphol being a nodal airport. So in every way we are very well connected. However, at the 8th year of my service, I kind of discovered that I was talking to a rocket company in India, and they said, "Can we have a launch pad in Netherlands?" I said, "Why? You're geographically well endowed to launch rockets easily." I didn't know that. So in every way, we are a kind of a truly global ecosystem, I must say. Thanks.
Great. So we'll start off with what does the company? One of the questions which has come to us is that how do you start off in the Netherlands? And maybe Peter would be Peter might be the best person to start this conversation. And Guhan, maybe you could come out with your personal experiences about how does the company setup process look like in the Netherlands, and especially for foreign founders. How should they go about doing it, especially somebody from India who wants to set up a company in the Netherlands? Give us like a short startup plan.
Okay, so the first stop is obviously to speak to your lawyer or your notary. Companies, especially limited liability companies, are being created through your legal support. Once you have created all the documents that go with it, you can report to the Chamber of Commerce and register your company. There's a few aspects that you need to bear in mind, because for some of the activities you actually need to be registered in the Netherlands. You need to be living in the Netherlands, and more specifically, if you want to open a bank account, you need to have a local. You need to be registered. You need to sort of register as a person or as a manager or as a director in the Netherlands. You can't open a bank account, let's say, being based outside the EU, which is a topic that a lot of entrepreneurs forget. So they go through all the efforts of creating the company, registering it, and through the Chamber of Commerce. Obviously, you get the link into the tax system. We're very efficient in that respect. You register a company and you immediately you're registered with the tax office. But the next step obviously is you need a bank account, and you have to bear that in mind, either by having a local director as part of your company, or through your own registration in the country. And from there,
I'd like to bring you in over here. You've been, you've done a lot of cross-border everything. So you've been in Dubai, you've been in Netherlands, and everywhere. What's been your practical experience? Because again and again, this comes out about, Netherlands being a little bureaucratic and especially tough to open a bank account. How did you go about it, and what are your strategies, practical strategies and suggestions for a person, especially being South Asian, coming to the Netherlands?
So to add to Peter, he's right. You need to have a notary first, notaries here in Netherlands to set up a company. And the setting up a company procedure in New Zealand and Netherlands is very easy to do it. It's not that bureaucratic. It's very straightforward. If you have a local partner, you register with KVK and you get your notary involved in setting up the company. And if the bank account opening is very seamless process, but again, it requires a local partner for you to do that. So setting up a company is not that difficult in Netherlands. I think it applies the same. If I was a foreigner coming to India, I have to do exactly the same procedure, having a local partner and setting up a company and a bank account. The process is a bit longer than what is provided here in Netherlands, but I have to say that it's the most easiest and simplest, flawless process they have set up here. And the UBO procedure, the ultimate business owner, it's need to be declared as well. So these are all formalities they have to go through. But in hindsight, it's not that difficult to set up any company in Netherlands, provided if we have a trusted local partner to work with you, and also the business activities, what is being done. So those are the few things that the notary can also help you with the business activities.
So I'll move to Balaji, and maybe Balaji can tell us. Sorry, Peter, you were saying something.
Yeah. So I think coming back to what Hans mentioned, it's the local partner plays an essential role. Selecting a local partner obviously is not that straightforward. You have to have a network or rely on somebody that can advise you on the selection of a local partner. But the local partner is definitely important.
So let me go a little deeper. I like where you left it, but how do we find a local partner? Because somebody, in a small town, or a person who is not so international, what's your one-on-one to connecting with somebody in Netherlands and connecting with the intention of being a local partner?
Can I mention there's something on, or Peter?
Yes, please.
Last year we had the General Assembly, or the Global Business Forum, in Bangalore, and then we also signed a MOU with World Trade Center Bangalore, where I visited also World Trade Center Pune. So via the World Trade Center network, it could be a partner, and we work closely together with the colleagues of Balaji as of the regional development agencies. In this case, Regional Development Agency East Netherlands, and we developed a soft landing program. 16% of our companies that are making use of that are coming from India. So that could be a stepping stone, and we can introduce you to the network, and we can also connect you with the notary, with the accountant, all your things you needed. And we can also advise you on the stepping stones. Before you set up a company, you can also have a virtual office so that you have a presence. Then from that case, you can find customers. And when you have a certain base of customers, you can decide to set up a legal entity. Although it might be worthwhile to set up a legal entity to make also use of all the subsidies and grants that are available in the Netherlands.
So that's an interesting point. So as a start, should they just write to Balaji? Is that how it starts?
Is that question to me?
Yeah, I mean this program that Freek mentioned. How should the participant go about and connect or get onto it?
Yeah, so the way it works is, I must say, we are not the only people in the game. We are a government-sponsored entity, and our services are free of cost. Of course, World Trade Center is our trusted partner across the Netherlands, where some of our companies go and make use of their ecosystem. typically the way we work is off late, we have something known as volume to value strategy, wherein we have a market research team where we identify companies that might be relevant for the Dutch market, or whereas we are approached by certain companies and based on their sector, our sector expert would recommend a region. Just to take the example of Freek, his region is well known for his agri-food ecosystem. He comes from OostNL, and Wageningen University is the world's #1 university in agri-food. Everything from farm to fork is what they do. So suppose an Indian agri-food company wants to establish, we connect them to my colleagues in OostNL, and through them they reach out to Peter Freek, or based on the local service provider. Notary is also brought into the picture. They register this company in the local chamber of commerce, tax registration, and then you are good to go. And as an additional thing, I just wanted to touch upon the bank account. It is not that difficult, although it takes time, because the KYC process is very stringent. That's the reason. And of course, India is a huge country. Our scales are incomparable, and Netherlands is small. So if you send them 50 requests, it would be difficult for the banks to handle as well. But thanks to the digital banking ecosystem, there are a lot of banks like Revolut, Bank, eBury. They all offer digital bank accounts. So with them in the line, it's very easy to onboard them into the banking ecosystem, and then slowly companies can enter into the mainstream banking line.
So, Balaji, since you have been working so much with so many Indian companies, there's a constant question that which are the sectors which are most, which are best for to enter Netherlands, which have the best potential. So, what should people look at?
Yeah. So it has changed over the years, and currently it is completely focused on whether the solution that the company brings would really help the Netherlands. So which means sectors like energy, agri-food, cybersecurity. We have quantum, that's as an emerging sector, and health. Especially in assistive healthcare. Those are the few sectors we are trying to work. We also we also ran a very successful soft landing program in cybersecurity last year. So these are the sectors that are very prominent.
Preek, would you like to add anything over here? Sectors which are best suited for India?
Well, I think Balaji mentioned the most actual, and certainly to find solutions all has to do with quantum, but also cybersecurity, AI, those kind of things, because there is also not we need knowledge, but we also need knowledge workers who can work on it to solve all the problems we are facing in the Netherlands or in Europe. And also life science and health. So health, both on health, but also on medical technology. What you can do with that, find solutions, how you make the cure and care better in the Netherlands.
Great. And Guhan, we all often hear these high-tech, products and, biotech, technology and all, but you've actually handled some low-tech products like ghee. So what was your perspective as well of doing business in the Netherlands? Setting it up and getting profitable, marketing, how did it all work?
Basically, my approach was getting to the core of it, like what is expected of Netherlands, and if you think about it on a macro perspective, the quality of life that Netherlands have is very good. The health system is very good. So if you focus on quality, not on a quantity basis, then you are on the right track there coming into the market. In food products, especially, the additives and the ingredients are nowadays becoming more and more difficult to handle it. Now it's also moved into packaging, sustainable packaging. All these methods have to be integrated into the system. So it's not like the old days of importing chemically contaminated foods. The packaging that is coming into the market is all being now monitored. So the best way to approach is focus on quality, sustainability, And also, Balaji was saying earlier on, like, the IT sector is like the traceability. There is heavy investment coming from the government right now, focusing on if you're a food brand, what are you doing on the IT sector to enhance your business? And there is funding available for those opportunities. So the approach has to be the quality, sustainability, and traceability. These three elements are the core perspectives any industry that is coming into the market needs to keep in. So, like when I used to do painting back in those days, in school days, you finish your painting, but you go back, and the painful job is to scrape all those small dots that is there in the glasses. That is not done in most of the markets, and here that is expected. So that's the perspective of how to get into the market and the ideology to have it.
Peter, any suggestions for the Indian entrepreneur looking to enter the Dutch market?
I think one of the we've all been talking about energy for a long time as being one of the issues that is going to hit us in now and in the immediate future. I think all technology related to water, water systems, cleaning water is absolutely welcomed here. There's many platforms and groups working across the country and across academia and industry and the government, working on solutions to make sure that we don't have too much water, we don't have too little water, and that water that we need is actually clean and potable. So the whole water sector, which is supported also from an EU perspective, but that's going to be, I think, the major topic in the next few years. Perhaps over the last 10 years, there was a lot of IT knowledge imported into the country. I think that in the next 10 years is going to be a need for smart water technology around the country.
And for a person, for a person who doesn't know Netherlands so well, everybody knows Amsterdam. Is there more to Netherlands than Amsterdam?
It's a rhetoric question, Karnvir. Yes, there is more. But as we said, we are a small country, certainly compared to India. So you can cross, depending on the traffic jams, in 3-4 hours the whole country. We are 1.5 hour drive from Amsterdam and 2 hours by train, and then you already cross the border. And we are 4 hours from Berlin. But there is more, and it's also what you're looking for. Huh? So you mentioned already the port of Rotterdam, and of course you have Schiphol Airport. Amsterdam is known for the finance. We have a strong technical university, University of Twente. There was a question on medical technology. We have a TechMed center where we certainly focus on that. We have the area of Eindhoven, where ASML is located, probably you know. So each region has his strengths, and depending on what sector you are in, you can decide. And Balaji has an overview of the Netherlands, and we have as Peter in the Hague region, and I am in the Twente region. We have more focus on what is happening here. So please reach out towards Wageningen University is already mentioned, also strong in agricultural, and we have in Arnhem, we have a strong sector in the energy sector. So that's, it's good to share some information about an overview of the Netherlands.
Can I add to that?
Balaji, would you like to comment on, because everyone is usually focused on Amsterdam, but where else one should look at as in terms of which city one should target for what kind of industry? And is there any focus on that, any specificity?
Me?
Yes.
Yeah. See, usually the choice of city depends on primarily on the strategy of the company. But I mean, as a general rule, if you are very strongly focused on agri-food, I would refer them to Ostennel because they would want to do something with Wageningen. If you have a strong import or if you have a lot of logistic operations, I would send them to Rotterdam. For GovTech, cybersecurity, it's kind of spread, but Hague, happens to be important. If you're high-tech, IP focused, I would send you to Eindhoven. Yeah, so it kind of, it varies based on your sector, but nevertheless, and Amsterdam, if you are into fashion, design, fintech, I would send you to Amsterdam. But nevertheless, it all depends on your business plan, and we have a strong sector team that looks at it, and we would recommend them what would be our ideal place to set up. Yeah.
I'm getting a lot of questions.
And again,
Yes.
most of the places are an hour or 2 hours travel away. So even if you want to, if you rely heavily on logistics, you can still, establish yourself away from Rotterdam Port and be there within an hour and a half. So it's all relative. It's very short distances. I think that is something that entrepreneurs from India will have to sort of understand. We're only so small compared to the distances between areas of activities on the Indian subcontinent. There's no comparison.
And someone actually spoke about Arnhem. So they are also home to Open Charging Alliance. So anybody who develops a new charger for their electric vehicles, including India, they go to Arnhem to get their charger tested and validated for international standards. Security Delta across Netherlands, or specifically in The Hague, they are home to a lot of cutting edge research on cybersecurity. So it all depends on what the business needs.
So let's talk a little bit more about immigration and visas, because that's always a very interesting topic for everybody. There are a lot of questions on that. And I throw it to the panel over here. How welcoming is Netherlands? There have been some concerns about immigrants in the past few little time. How do you apply for a visa? What kind of a visa can one apply for? How do you get there as an entrepreneur? What is the process?
One of the process I can explain it to you is Netherlands is very easy and open for skilled migrants of any sector. The visa process is not that difficult. If you have a company that recognizes your skill in any sector for that matter, and if they wanted to hire you, the process is very, the timeline we are talking about, because I have sponsored people to come and work here. And for my surprise, it was within 3 months. They get the visa, and the company has to provide all the arrangements for them to soft land here, and then they have to establish themselves for a certain period of time. I think another 3 months gets into the system. But if you're a skilled migrant and you relate to all the sectors, Netherlands is very open and acceptable for visas for all these people to come into the country.
Okay, and what about sorry.
Yeah, I can agree on that. I run also an expat center, so we work on it on a daily basis, and it takes the right route also for the company who wants to hire you. So they have to be aware of that. So you just cannot attract a worker for you. So, but it is the skilled migrants, and we need also skilled migrants, and that is also what we try to do with our expat center. We have a soft landing program for the companies, but also for the expats who are coming here. So we lay out the red carpet to see how is the daily life in the Netherlands. So that is important also.
And then there is one more thing on the visa side. So there'll be a question always coming up saying, hey, so we are not a skilled migrant, but what about us? That segment we are mainly, like, if I can give you a specific example, would be an Indian restaurant, for example. So if you are a company, you're going to sponsor somebody, you need to be listed in the IND. So that is a heavy process that every company has to go through, and it takes about 6 months to get the license for them to officially sponsor a skill migrant. Whereas on a specific levels, like an Indian restaurant you're talking about, there are opportunities for people to come on a contractual basis and work here as well. So that is also quite easy process here in Netherlands. As long as it is compliant, the immigration is not that difficult with Netherlands. They are very friendly and very open for anyone to come into the country to work.
And what about for entrepreneurs? How do is there a separate visa? Suppose there's an entrepreneur in India and he wants to invest and set up a company in Netherlands. What is the process then?
That would be similar to what we discussed earlier on, to setting up a BV here with a local partner and going through the notary. I was going to add an earlier comment on that. So finding a local partner is, it's a difficult choice to make as well. I'm not going to say it's an easy process, because the liabilities as a business owner, and you take part on somebody's business, you're also exposed to the liability. So therefore, the risk element is there. It is not that easy for matchmaking someone who would simply say, okay, I will put my hand up for starting a company with you. What happens on a negative side? So it is not that straightforward as setting up a company on that basis because of the liabilities. So that goes through a process in terms of notary and understanding the shareholding agreement structure. Then only you can actually able to get into the system. So shareholders agreement is very important to get involved at the beginning stage, to understand what are the roles and responsibilities. And also the UBO process is important. So like if it is a politically exposed person or someone who is already sanctioned in anti-money laundering, these are processes you have to go through the KYC. So it takes that rigid process, and I think Peter, you can also add to that if you wish on this. That's the way it is. It's not that in that angle, it's not that straightforward.
Yeah, no, and that KYC process goes in two directions. So the Indian entrepreneur obviously needs to do all the investigations to know whether they're dealing with somebody that has good intentions. But the other way around, that person will be very rigid in investigating you. So be prepared. It's not a matter of being rude, but there will be a few questions asked by your prospective partner, and be prepared for that. It's a process that can take easily 3 months, before you get hold of all the documentation that you want to have about your future partner, and that goes into two directions.
And also the business plan has to be declared to the IND as well. It's a viable business, so that having the business plan set up before even talking to somebody is the most key basic element that an entrepreneur should think of.
So I have typed a website. I don't know how many people saw ind.nl. That's the website of Immigration and Naturalization Division of the Netherlands. There is an English page as well. So it's very easy to find. Based on what your need is, it will suggest what kind of visa you should be applying for and what are the procedures. So it's pretty transparent. ind.nl. Yeah, that's the one.
The only constraint there is that making an appointment at IND can take a long time. So if you want to speed up that process, I always recommend people to work with a lawyer that has an ongoing relation with IND. So and that they know how to speed up the process. If you're just joining the queue, it was mentioned before, might take a while.
Yeah. Just for clarity, there are two types of work visas. One wherein you work for a company. So the company has to be eligible or a recognized sponsor to employ you. So wherein they give you an offer letter and then you apply for a long-term work visa and then you go. The others are startup visa, self-employed, entrepreneur visa. All of them are listed in the website. Everything I know. So based on what you need is, IND is a central entity that is responsible to give you the type of visa that you are eligible for.
Excellent. So there are a lot of specific questions which are coming up, which about specific sectors, right from ports to food. But I think that those could be directly sent to Balaji or Peter or Freak, and Vivek would obviously have all the details, and he would be happy to share the links, because there are a lot of questions which are coming up. But we like to pivot a little bit right now into something which is into the lifestyle, the culture, and integration in Netherlands, and people are concerned about that as well, because it's a little different culture. The language is very different. The whole culture is a bit different. So from the panel, one of the concerns is that the high rents of homes. How is it like to move to Netherlands? What should a person be aware of? What should a person be concerned about when he thinks about Netherlands?
With the rents part, I can say that
Yeah, please go ahead.
there has been a law change recently, with all the investors are now putting the properties back in the market for sale because there was a shortage of houses. And Netherlands, we have the problem. We have a shortage of houses. You can find places outside. You don't have, if you work in Amsterdam, the commuting time, and I have to tell you, the Netherlands have the best public system in terms of your trains, buses, you name it. I have been around the world. I never seen a place that has been the best public system. So I would avoid the cars. I would take the trains. I would take the bike. I would take the bus. That's the best way you will get to the place on time. And second thing I've noticed, like if you are living, if the rent is high, depending on where you want to place yourself, you can be a little bit outside Amsterdam. An hour travel by train is not a lot. But what I've witnessed with the expats is that when they come from a place like Mumbai or Chennai or Delhi, we are prone to sit in a traffic for 2 hours, right? Or 1.5 hour. But then for us to commute from one city to another city, like people used to work from, I know some of the expats work from Amsterdam and used to go to Groningen, and there is the G. So in Groningen, they worked there, and the commuting was easy by train. But then what happens to the psychological part of the expats is that they get too comfortable with what happens, and suddenly they become the local, and they say, "Oh, it's too far to travel." But when you're in India, it's never too far to travel. You have the distance to cover all the time, everyday basis. So that is the most common issue I have noticed with the expats coming to Netherlands. Initially saying, 1 hour traffic, I'll take it. I'll come from The Hague to Amsterdam for everyday commuting. But eventually, they do convert. They become local, and they say it's too far, and they want to find a job in the city where they live. That's when their rent become expensive because
And
everybody wants to concentrate. Yeah.
sorry, go ahead. So what is expensive rent? What is inexpensive? I know this is always a difficult question, but what should one relatively think of paying for rent? What is a reasonable
Yeah.
rent?
So the euro to Indian rupees conversion is typically carried on for the first few months when you move here. So even paying for a coffee is expensive because it's in euros. Until you earn euros, it's expensive, right? So that's a concept. I've seen it in New Zealand too, same thing. So people need to get that out of their head. You are going to earn euros and spend euros, right? So that's the way it is. And the rental amount we are talking varies from where you live. You're talking about 1,200 euros per month to 3,500 euros per month. Also, it is there. If you want to live in this center of Amsterdam, you could live in a 50 meter square apartment and you will be paying a fortune for it. But if you live in Almere or Arnhem or anywhere in outside Zuela, you pay less, half the price of it, but bigger space. So the choice a candidate has to make is to understand, okay, this is going to be my earning. So if I'm going to live here, I'm going to live in a small unit and I can't fit my family, so I need to live somewhere else outside. So they have to understand that the system, the public transport is well connected here. You can get anywhere through trains and back. So don't have to worry about that you have to live in Amsterdam. You can live outside and still work in Amsterdam. You can manage it. So that's what I always say to my expats. Don't worry about, you have to show everyone that you live in Amsterdam. You work in Amsterdam, but live somewhere in Almere. That's easier for. But most of the Indians do actually. In Almere and Arnhem, you have a lot of concentration there. Because they all concentrate, the rent goes up as well. So it's a catch-22. But if you want to socially integrate, you have to disperse a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
What you want to say something? Sorry.
Yeah, what you also see is since COVID time that are people working also from home. So you don't necessarily be at your work every day. And you see that with the government, which is mainly in The Hague. But those employees need to be there 2 or 3 days in a week. So they choose to live somewhere else outside the conurbation of the Randstad, so outside Amsterdam, which is the most expensive, and live more towards the eastern, the southern, of the northern parts of the Netherlands. It depends also what you would like to do, but we have a perfectly transportation network that Guan also mentioned. And if not, we go on a fast bike. That's also the living costs are the same, except for the housing. That makes a lot of difference where you live and what you need. And it is also good to get integrated, become member of a sports club. We even have cricket clubs here in my region, at least, set up by some there's people from Asia. So and that is, you have to be open for that. And we are multicultural in the sector of food. So we have all kinds of restaurants from around the globe. You can hardly find any typical Dutch restaurants. So we have so much influence from outside. So concerning the food, it's also not a real problem.
And I also mentioned about, you brought a topic about cycling, Karnvir. So that's, when I moved here, my mother-in-law was behind me for 1 month to get a bike. She was hell-bent that I get a bike. But, I like to walk and take the trains, but no, that was not an answer. I was forced to get a bike. So I did. What I realized is, because I opened up and I just took it, the best way, and also you get fit by doing that. And you go, they live in Houten, and we go to Utrecht city center. We get the nice countryside bike ride. It's beautiful. You have to integrate. If you are coming to Netherlands, get a bike. That's the first thing I would say. Forget about everything else. It is the culture, it is the nature, and get a bike. We are not used to biking around in India, but then I can tell you, when living in Amsterdam, forget about driving around the places. You can get to any places here within 10-15 minutes. I can bike around there. And we have also these buckfeeds, where if you have children, you can get those. It's a bucket-like thing that sits right in front of you. So those buckfeeds are really cool to take your kids around the places and enjoy all these activities that is happening. You don't need
And I assume it's not unusual to have a very senior person like a minister or somebody coming on a cycle.
Everybody gets a bike.
Actually, the former prime minister went to his meetings with the king on his bike. He would cycle over from his office to the working palace of the king, put his bike next to the front door, lock it actually, and go into the palace to have his meeting and cycle back. The prime minister of the Netherlands, and it gives you a taste of the fact that just everybody uses the bicycle, whether you're wearing a suit or a boiler suit or shorts. Everybody is using the bicycle. My prime way of moving around The Hague is the bicycle. My car never goes into the city of The Hague. Never, ever.
In fact, there are more bicycles than people actually in Netherlands.
Everybody should start at least practicing cycling, if
Yeah,
nothing else.
absolutely. I mean,
If that
there's
people
one
are
more
coming
thing
to.
to add on that. We're talking about Mark Rutte from previous our Prime Minister. Um, it shows something that is very significant. Everyone misses out the security level, right? You're talking about a chief minister coming from A to B in India. We got blocked for like half an hour, 1 hour, waiting for the track to clear, and the cars will pile through. But then here we're talking about a prime minister riding bicycle in the common place. The security here is very good. That's what attracts a lot of business here because I think BJP now in India is trying to. I mean, they've been trying to do the same. You get the first thing you do is to get the security in place for the people, and then the business comes. And Netherlands has that system in place, and that's a prime example to show that the prime minister can bike without being hassled or harassed or shot at.
In fact,
But the
the
point
Prime
is,
Minister also
he has
biked
to
in
also lock.
Bangalore by him.
He has to also lock the cycle, which also I've heard stories about that it's very,
Right.
common for bikes to be stolen.
Yeah, we have too much bike there as well, and yeah, the petty thieves everywhere there. We have the petty thieves to take the bike and sell it off, and that's there. But that's on the low
So,
level.
okay, question for also people. Is it necessary to learn Dutch? How much is the business done in Dutch? How much in English? What is the best way to adapt
I
to the
I can
local?
answer that from my experience. So I'm here for already since 2018. I have not learned Dutch. It is important to learn Dutch, right? But I have a helper, which is ChatGPT, which helps me to translate everything properly to read it. The reason I did it because my kids, I wanted them to grow bilingual. So they are fluent in Dutch and English. So learning Dutch is, I'm 45 now, but if you're 20 onwards, I would say do it because it's the best thing to do. When you speak a common language, you speak from mind, but when you speak the language, you speak from heart. And that's the common thing that you have to carry anywhere in the world where you go. Understand the local language, then you know the jokes, then you know the culture even better. So there are courses available that you can go to Gemeente and apply for one. You have your A plus course, but if you're like really serious about integrating into the community, getting a residency, yes, you have to learn Dutch.
And for an entrepreneur, probably doesn't know Dutch or he comes with English. What is the best way to market or to do marketing? The common understanding is that the Dutch are slightly, if I may hesitantly say, cold, and they, you need to approach everybody very formally. So how do you market get your first set of contacts, or what's the best way to start your integration, networking, marketing in the Netherlands?
Yeah, for me, I would say create networks, create multiple networks, and make sure that you spread your links across the country geographically, but also across potential stakeholder groups. And it means that there's a lot of things happening online, but there's an absolute value of showing up at events and at gatherings in person, and present yourself. Take the initiative to speak to people. I wouldn't call such environment cold, but in most of the events that I have attended with foreign entrepreneurs participating, it's really appreciated if somebody sort of goes to somebody else, even if he or she doesn't know, they don't know each other, and they just have a chat. And I think it's actually quite informal, and there's not a lot of hierarchy in relations, in business relations either. So anyone, at an event, anyone can speak to anyone else.
Yeah,
I
I agree with
on
that. We are quite open, and as Guan also mentioned, when you talk a little bit of Dutch, that we very much appreciate it. Only if it is only a few sentences to present yourself in Dutch, and then we are so polite to continue in English. We always are when you are at the bakery or whatever. And what the nice thing is, we organize expat meet and greet, where every month where you can exchange knowledge and experience with other expats how they do it, so that makes it more easy to come. But in generally we are open also for requests. And if they don't want it, we are also quite direct, and they say, well, we'll go search someone else. So that's what you see is what you get mostly. But I
can
agree
add
with
to that.
Peter that we are open for that.
So that earlier, I remember, Karnvir, I told you about it's a bit of a Calvinism there. There is no hierarchical elements applies here in Netherlands. If you want to talk to a CEO, you can approach him directly and talk to him directly. You can request for a meeting. No one is going to tell you that you cannot do that kind of thing. It's very open, very flat, like the land here in Netherlands. It's common for everybody. You can have a chat. Like you open up a small conversation with a little bit of Dutch, you're in. But then I also like to pinpoint what Freek was saying, that if the subject is not relevant to them, they will save your time by saying no, right? So that means it's not rude. They are just helping you to save your own time and their time to say, this is not relevant to me. You can find somebody else who does that, or they might even pinpoint you to somebody. But you don't have to take that as a rude approach, but it is a polite way to say the subject is irrelevant. We could give you somebody to talk to. That's it.
Yeah, and to add to that, you can also ask the question, to whom shall I address? And then we transfer you to another person. And that's also what we tell with Vivek knows and April. So the World Trade Center is also about people that know people. So ask it. Feel free to ask. Dare to ask. I see also many questions in the chat. Dare to ask. Can I do this? Can I do that? And we're always willing to help and to see you connect you with the right person.
Balaji, any experiences of yours having brought 10 years of taking Indian companies to Netherlands behaviorally, which you wish they would know or you wish they would understand?
Not really. We have not, fortunately, so far, we haven't faced any integration challenges, mostly because the regions with whom we work really help them a lot. I mean, as Freek mentioned, the expat center, or now it's known as the international centers, they really make sure that the person who comes into the Netherlands for employment is really integrated well into the society, be it language or housing or school for their kids, or be it anything. In fact, I would say there is more Indian flavor in the Netherlands. So there is this Diwali that's celebrated in Amsterdam, and Almere is really gaining a lot of popularity. And now with Indigo flying into Netherlands, it's going to get even more, popular, I must say.
Yeah. I would like to raise one concern, though, is that if you move to the Netherlands to be an entrepreneur, mind your partner, because the certifications or the that your partner might have in his or her area of expertise might not be valid in the Netherlands. So that's something that I spoke to a friend from India who moved here to The Hague last week at the tennis club, and he said that his wife is a medical doctor, and she can't operate in the Netherlands, not in or in the EU. She would have to start from scratch all her training. So that is something, there's a lot of things that work very well, but mind your partner and mind what he or she will be doing while you're being the entrepreneur or working in this country.
And one more thing on that is with the Indian culture, cultural aspect was like in Netherlands, we have Indonesia, which is the ex-colony. And we have something called, people don't realize it, but they do realize when they come here, Suriname. And Suriname has a lot of Indian people. But they are in a time of era, their cuisine is a little different to what the current Indian culture is. but it relates very well. So it's not new for Netherlands to have Indian culture food already here in the system. So it's people get comfortable with it. You need spicy food. It's there with Surinamis.
Well, awesome, and there's certainly more questions, and then the questions aren't stopping, and everybody would like to connect with the panelists, and I think Vivek and April would be the best people to help that, and so I hope everybody, all the listeners, all the participants enjoyed this conversation in which we try to bring a kind of wholesome perspective on the region, both from the work perspective as well as from the lifestyle perspective, and I hope you enjoyed it and would be with us for the next country, which would be next month. With that, I hand it over to April, and April, all yours. April?
Yes, thank you, Karnvir sir. Okay, that brings us to the close of today's session. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. A special thank you to our moderator, Mr. Karnvir, for leading the conversation with so much energy and insight. Thank you so much, sir. And to our panelists, Mr. Freek Favor, Mr. Guhan Ramachandran, Mr. Balaji Venkatraman, and Mr. Peter Boone. Each of you brought in such distinct insights on doing business in Netherlands, from how it can be a gateway to entering the European market, and also about the ease of setting up businesses there, the key sectors that Indians can consider. So thank you so much for all your insights and your time. The audience has been very engaging. We had a lot of questions coming in. I hope a lot of it has been covered. A special mention to our program partners, WTC 20 and WTC Netherlands Alliance, for collaborating with us on this session. And also a special mention to Bangalore Chamber of Industry and Commerce for supporting us in this discovery series. To everyone who attended, to all the participants, thank you for your questions and your engagement throughout. The Discovery series will be back with more episodes covering the global markets. Until then, you can follow us on our website and our LinkedIn profile for more updates. We will be posting about this event on LinkedIn, and I request all of you to share your thoughts and comments there as well. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining once again, and wish you all a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.